So the grip I want to show you today is a grip that I developed, and it's called the Kearsey-Lawson or the KL grip. So the Kearsey-Lawson grip, again, like I say, very similar to the Musser and the Stevens grip. We have on the outside mallet, it goes through the two fingers, like that, but we have a reasonable amount sticking out down below the fingers. Often in the other two grips that I've just mentioned, they tend to be much closer to there, but this way we get more power and more control. And then the inside mallet tends to then hold in the three fingers like this. So that is actually the look of the Kearsey-Lawson grip from that side, and then from this side you'll see this finger, the knuckle between the two mallets, and the thumb on the side. I'll show you the Kearsey-Lawson grip on the keyboard percussion. So the advantage is we can still get two notes directly next to each other, so on just a second interval, and what we've got the movement from the wrist. So from the underside, that's how our grip is. So one stick slightly further along, slightly further higher than the other. And then when we turn over, we've got the movement from the wrist. And this allows for lots of power, particularly if you're playing along with drum kits and so on. But not just power, we have the quality of the note, because we have the independence of the two sticks, and we actually can hold them loosely, so we get a nice tone off of the instrument. So if I play seconds, I can play them and I can get the speed from them from the wrists. Now you'll also notice that the angle is slightly one higher than the other. But when I drop them down, because I'm using the traditional American style drum kit playing stance, where I've got my triangle shape, or capital A as we say when it's on a snare drum, we have the two mallets in line and perfectly into the middle of the notes. So I just wanted to show you another a key difference, I suppose, with this grip is actually it's excellent for chord playing because of the power and accuracy that we can get. But a big difference that we find is when I extend the mallets out, the thumb actually goes over the first stick, so the grip becomes like this. Now that's often fixed in a sixth, but we can still retract the stick by moving the thumb and rolling it back over the fingers. So we've got that real quick motion that we can use. So the Kearsey-Lawson grip has big advantages on playing chords. As we've shown, is that you can play a second note simply and easily on the instrument. We turn the motor on, so we can have a nice simple sound of two. We can extend easily to a third. Now if you notice on the third, the thumb is clearly on top of the stick, but then as we go to a fourth, we're actually now on the other side of the inside stick. Now that actually provides us with a really solid, the wrist can still move, the arm can move, but it provides us with a real locked, solid chord action. The other thing though is it's not so solid that it affects the tone. We've still got that independence of sticks if we want to rock or if we want to play mallets individually. So we can have the advantage of locking the sticks, for example, into fourths, which makes it really easy to play fourths or any interval that you want, and it makes it really easy. We could have a third and we could have a fourth. Now they're fixed into position really nicely. The other thing as well is for comping, jazz comping. Now I find that a lot of the chords are quite awkward to do, so like a diminished chord is best played like this using this grip. You could play using a more traditional Stevens grip, you could play like this, but on the Kearsey-Lawson grip it allows us to quickly move between thirds and seconds, and then immediately we put the stick into a sixth in order to play chords that use the black notes, as it were. So if we had a simple turnaround in C, we might have this fixed in a fourth and a third, and then we can quickly change them to do a diminished, change them into a sixth position. So if I do that slowly, we've got a fourth and a third. I'm going to change it into a sixth. Now I know what a sixth is because the thumb just goes that side and it gives me a sixth. So by immediately moving the thumb that side of the hand, I've immediately got a sixth. And that is a speed for changing chords, because we go from a fourth and a third. Immediately, if I change to a sixth, I can lay down a diminished. And you'll notice that the mallets still nicely hit the centre, and we've still got the power from the wrists as well. So we've got quick changes. The other thing you might notice is that on the changes, I actually change in the air before I get to the chord. So it allows me to play chords very fast. So I can play my C chord, and then I can go into my diminished chord. I'm already there before I even hit the note. So I've gone from C, in the air I've changed into my sixth position. Like that. So if we complete the turnaround, nice sound. Now the other thing we can do with it is obviously we can play very solid chords, but we can also be much more loose and relaxed, so that we can play more jazzy chords and just laying it down with little flams. And then the independents come in when we're comping and doing chords. Because we've still got the independent grip, we could do something like this. I'll try that on again. So, and then the last thing that the grip's really good for is we still have complete independence on these three for when we're doing what we might call single mallet playing. So although we've got the four mallets in the hand, because we've got such independence in these three fingers, we can turn it into a single mallet playing, and we can actually, the other mallets can be up out of the way, so we've got some nice single mallet ability. Now the other thing is, although we're single mallet, we've got the strength of the wrist when we need to play the outside mallet, so we can get a really nice strong sound, and that comes from a flick of the wrist. So obviously the grip, just to explain a little bit more, a lot of times we think of the stick, the inside stick being in the palm of the hand, but again, just to recap, it goes down the side of the thumb, so that it's sitting like this. Now when we roll out, it's rolling along the fingers and the thumb like this, but the thumb, it means we can even fix nice octaves very easily, so that becomes our grip on the wider grip. So the key to it really is having them slightly one sticking out further than the other, so that then when we come down to the keyboard, the natural position, we've got the sticks, the mallets straight, and then we've got an easy rolling action with the thumb on top to a third. As soon as we get to a fourth, the thumb goes on the other side. The fifth, thumb still on the other side, just further in. The sixth, locked in like that with it curled, and so it goes on as we keep moving out. It just gets a wider gap there, and it's really fast because we can go out, and again, mainly those chords, we've got a nice strong basis to hold the chord together. So easy chords. Now this grip as well works very well for marimba playing as well. It's very good if you're doing jazz for Latin playing, because you can really get the wrists moving fast, which I'll show you on the marimba. So again, the same grip are on the marimba. Now, particularly for power, I've got very soft mallets here, but even on the power, I was talking about the wrist movement. Now we can get some really good volumes and really good speeds, just because we're using the natural movement of the wrist. And then obviously if we put the forearms and the arms into it, we can do some amazing speeds. But if I show you, if let's say we lock into the fourths that I was talking about with the thumb, so we're locked into that, and we can do some really still got the fourth there all the time, and we've got the speed. Now we can also make our notes and chords a bit looser in this technique as well, so we can do some flamming as well. So if I'm playing some chords, I can either lock them in or flam them a bit, relax them a bit. It's also very good for independent playing with the traditional marimba types of grips. But what you'll notice is I've got that chord nice and solid, and I can lay the chord down and single stroke at the same time. That's a really good grip for marimba playing. Even though I've developed it as a jazz grip. So that's the Kearsey-Lawson Grip. So obviously there's probably loads of different applications that I either haven't been bothered to show you today or that I've forgotten about. But if you have a look at this little bit of video now, you may see some different techniques I'm using on the marimba, and it's a concert I did at Finchcock's Musical Museum.
When he was younger, he used to play with 6 sticks, didn't he? But he's getting a bit too old for that.
Kearsey-Lawson technique, it works equally well for traditional sort of movements on the marimba, such as the rolling technique where we're rocking or rolling. The traditional rolling uses much more of the twist of the arm. But the advantage with the Kearsey-Lawson technique is that you do use some of the twist, but you've actually got the flick of the wrist in there as well. So again, these are ultra soft mallets, but you can still get some nice volumes and sounds from the marimba. So if I combine them with the rolling technique, the wrist technique and the locking into fourths and so on that we've spoken about, we can do lots of different things. So just the advantage of the Kearsey-Lawson grip, we could use it for Latin music and for speed and all sorts. Just a little demonstration, the power from the wrist, but the security from it as well, and the fact that we can have independent rhythms going on. So we can create lots of sort of rhythms by this technique and the speed of it. And we can change those chords as well. So what I want to, there's probably again lots of things I could show you now on the vibes, but perhaps it's better I'll show you right now a little snippet from a concert, a jazz concert I did at my jazz club, with some very fine musicians, and you'll see that there's some single techniques going on, but also some chords laying down, and some rolling techniques and other things that we haven't spoken about today. We tend to have a few different 4 mallet grips going around today. Obviously we've got, for jazz, we've got the Gary Burton grip is a popular grip to have, and the advantage of his grip is the power that we get from the wrist and the speed, especially if we're playing against drum kits and so on. Or the problem, I should say, with some of the 2 grips, the traditional and the Burton, that crosses the stick, is it produces a very hard sound on the marimba or the vibes. And often we lose that real quality of tone that we can get out of the instrument. So then we've got the other two, what I would call an American style. We've got the Musser style grip and the Stevens grip. I tend to use a combination of both of them. The advantage with the Kearsey-Lawson grip is that you retain all the speed and you have more dexterity, and you actually have more tone that you can get out of the instrument. So before we finish today, I'll let you have a little look at the end of the video. We'll be putting on the rest of the footage from some vibes playing at the Finchcock's Musical Museum.
The kind of instrument that his playing makes Sooty very jealous. In fact, Sooty's these days really angry with me.
but just a little tickly bit, bending notes. Perhaps I'll do another DVD or another video later on for note bending, but just so you can see and hear the sound of note bending. So I hope you enjoyed those lessons and those videos that you've seen, that footage that you've seen. Perhaps you can catch up with me at one of my concerts or an album that I've got coming out this year. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.